Alrighty, folks. I want to make you aware of the next can't miss investing opportunity that you are all going to hear about. And I think it'll be turned into a big fat nothing. But to have this conversation, we're going to do that with the big one and only Mr. Jonathan Twomley. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Michael. How are you? Good to be
I'm
back after a little hiatus there.
yeah. It's summer vacation. You're doing stuff with the family. That's all beautiful stuff. But hey, I have seen in the last 4 to 8 weeks, because I'm an accredited investor, a lot of requests to invest in the next can't miss opportunity, which I'll just put in the big bucket of distress multifamily or commercial real estate. I'm sure this has come across your radar. What do you think? I think people are trying to repeat the success of the last battle, which often is not the case. But yes, the next can't miss investing opportunity is distress commercial real estate. What do you think?
Well, I mean, there's going to be some distress, and some people are going to,
Yeah, there's gonna be some
and
distress.
some people are going to make a lot of money on it, right? The thing is, I I think it's gonna that not as many people are going to make as much money on this as they think they are, because everybody's trying to make money on it. Like these opportunities, the great opportunities come along because very few people are paying attention to them, and that's what happened in the great financial crisis, right? We had this huge crash, and I remember even when I start, so the crash happened when? Like 2007, 2008, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Even in 2011, when I first started doing real estate full time, I still at that point had people coming to me saying stuff like, "Hey, you're in real estate. How do we take advantage of this crash that happened 4 years ago?" Like people hadn't figured it out yet, right? They didn't
Yeah.
know what to do with all the distress that was out there, and people were afraid to buy it because they thought it was going to go from, you know, it had gone from 100 to 5, and they were afraid it's going to go from 5 to 0, right? And
Yeah. Yeah. No,
so
you're right. I was
everybody
there. I was
everybody
buying hand over fist. Yeah.
you were, but like most people,
Yeah. No, you're right.
and I mean, and I'm talking like the stuff I'm talking about, people were coming to me was like, okay, the bank has offered me 7,000 houses. What should I do? Right? How do I
Buy
make?
them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in retrospect, the answer was buy them all, right?
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
the time, people were like, how do we do due diligence on 7,000 houses? What if there's good ones and bad ones? What do we do? And even though the houses were like, it's like 7,000 a house, people were still like, I don't know if this is
Dude,
a good.
scrape them and sell the lot.
Well, no, seriously, but you said that, but you forget the fear
No.
at the
I remember. I was in it. I mean, for about 18 months, once all the waves started, you figured out the process. So at least in my market of Fresno, California, we got a new load because I was buying out of the MLS. I was doing no networking, none of this stuff. But every Monday at 9 o'clock or 8:55, I forget which time, they would load the next week's REOs.
yeah.
And I would go through those by Monday evening. I would write, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 offers. I would get 6 counters and we'd close 3 deals. It was just a machine this way. And you're right. I mean, I was deciding that, hey, that gold bar right there is not big enough. I want the other gold bar because nobody was doing this. And then Wall Street showed up. I remember the first Monday that I didn't see a load. I'm like, what happened? Oh, maybe a data corruption, right? Because I was a tech guy. I'm like, okay, maybe the data file was bad. Then the next Monday, nothing happened. I'm like, interesting. So
When
then
was
I
that?
start calling.
What
So
year?
I want to say that was 11,
Yeah,
2011.
that was when Wall Street guys were coming to me saying, "How do we do this?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I have no idea. I wish I knew,
So
but
this is what happened. I told, so I knew the number one agents and the number one escrow agents doing REOs because it was like five of them were doing everything for the big banks, right? And I had a private conversation with one of the guys. He said, Michael, you're not going to believe this. I got a phone call from some New York guy who said, we'll buy your entire book. And they didn't believe it, right? And they bought, not only did they buy the entire book, they bought the entire book at list price.
wow.
Everything I was writing was somewhere between 15 and 19% because 20% was a no-go, somewhere between 15 and 19% below asking because I knew that worked.
Yeah,
They bought everything at list price. Of course they got the book. They
yeah,
bought every single, their buy box at the time was single family homes, I think it was 1950 or younger, so they didn't buy really old stuff.
Right.
And there was like one zip code they avoided. They bought everything, and it was, at that moment, the world changed.
Yeah. Well, so here's where we are now. Wall Street had that experience in
Yeah,
20,
made a bunch of money.
billions of dollars, and now they all want to do it again. But the problem is now they're all ready and waiting for it, right? Which
Yeah,
means that the opportunity is not going to be there, right? There will be, yes, there'll be some bargains and whatnot. It's going to the pricing, but the pricing is already better than it was last year,
yeah,
right? We've already had the 25% decline, which is great, right? That's enough to make real money, and these there will be some examples of extreme bargains. I've seen some of this stuff happening already. I've heard some people talking about deals they've gotten from REOs. It's starting to happen, but we're just not going to see the same buying opportunity that we had last time around because of the
yeah,
number of people who have, first of all, been waiting for this since 2019, right? All that dry powder out there,
yeah.
dry powder was not waiting for a 10% discount. That dry powder was waiting for a crash because they all knew that this was coming. It
Oh yeah,
just,
they didn't know
something
when.
was
Yeah.
going to upset the apple cart. It didn't really matter what it was. There would be something at some point, and they were ready for it. Since then, we've had even more people flooding in. We've got, like you said, all these people out there raising money
Mhm.
for distress funds.
Can't miss distress fund. That's what one of my emails said. I'm like, what?
It seems to be a big disappointment to a lot of people because there's just
Yeah.
too much attention being focused on it
The
right
the
now.
other thing that I think we've talked about before, that I think, because again, there's going to be this wave of stress, and what I think is going to happen is the lenders, they're going to look at this big pile of trouble and go, hey, these ones will extend and pretend.
Right.
These ones we're going to change the operator, and then these ones we're going to foreclose. So
Yeah.
again, if you look at a pile, just a third is going to extend and pretend, no opportunity. The next third is going to be opportunities for the top 10 investors or operators in the country. And then, yeah, we're going to be fighting over a third, which those would be the, least desirable, most out of touch, blah, 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 blah. So that's how
Exactly.
I see this going.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And the banks also learned their lesson, right? So
They did.
Wall Street had the opportunity, wants it to repeat again. The banks learned their lesson from last. Last time when all of this distress hit the banks, they went, and they just like
Sell.
sell it all, right? And they saw what happened when they did that. Like they
Oh,
caused the correction to be worse, right? Because they
yeah.
just
Not only did they sell it all, Jonathan, they stopped lending.
yeah, right.
We
So
couldn't even buy anything with mortgage debt. It was
yeah,
crazy.
and now so they've been through that one time
Yeah.
and they realize that that is just not there will be a much more orderly unwinding this time, which will follow the path that you said. The operators that are good operators that just got unlucky because the macroeconomic environment changed on them, the banks will say, we like you, keep running it, we're giving you extra time.
Yep.
Right. The good assets with bad operators, will they get new operators? And then
Yep.
the bad assets in bad markets with bad operators,
Foreclose.
they're the ones that are going to be foreclosed
Yeah.
on and sold to the highest bidder.
Yeah. So that's what we're fighting over, folks. The junk in bad markets. That's what we're going to fight over.
And look, and Michael, you know this better than I do. I mean, in the single family home market, I mean, the lenders got a lot more stringent over the last 10 years, and it's just not the same situation
Oh,
with
it's
people.
it's not coming to single family. Just stop the nonsense, folks. It's not coming. Jonathan, this is something you may not know. The just this is so mind blowing to me. Do you know what the effective interest rate is of all existing residential mortgages? Take all the existing residential mortgages, throw them in a big pile, and calculate the effective interest rate, which is the
I
average interest rate.
saw something like this. It's like 3% or something.
3.6.
Yeah.
3 point, folks. Even if folks lose their jobs, they're not going to sell their homes, can pay rent somewhere else higher. They'll get roommates.
Yeah.
This is not coming. The residential market is broken. The Fed broke it. We're going to be below 4 million transactions the next couple of months, easy. The pain's commercial, and there's going to be a lot of it, and there's a lot of people that lost. There'll be some opportunity, no doubt, but it's a very different picture because you're right. Wall Street's ready. banks will act differently. And yeah, this is going to be wild to watch. So, Jonathan, where can people find
Well,
you?
I was just gonna say before
Yep.
we get there, like, and the other thing too is a lot of this distress is gonna be in stuff that you and I and all the listeners aren't buying anyway, which is
Yeah.
office, right? Like the
If
because
you
the
want to do conversions, office conversion, that's gonna be that'll be the thing. That's not my thing.
yeah, I mean, listen, it's going to happen. It's going to be a big opportunity for the people who can do it, but those are big players and construction companies and stuff like that. Have
Big
that
uplift.
expertise.
The footprints,
Yeah,
ugly footprints.
not yet. So, but where can they find me? Well, gosh, I mean, there's lots of places you can find me. One of them is on Facebook at the at the Apartment Investors Club. Just join there. Tell us you're from ORAT, and that makes me very excited when I see people come by. You can also go directly to apartmentinvestorsclub.com, get my free download there. And last, I've got a very small amount of space that in my new hotel deal that I'm very excited about. Would love for some ORAT people to swing by and grab those last couple spaces. So please Google Two Bridges Asset Management, fill out the form that you find on the website, and just make a note in there that you're interested in the hotel, and we'll get you the information right away.
Awesome. Thanks, Jonathan.